Welcome to the Sales Mastery Summit. I'm Mary Pohl, your host, and with me today is Dan MacAdam, a longtime top sales performer in inside sales. And Dan has been gracious enough to let us in on what he's figured out through his career that's really helped him rise to the top in the various companies he's worked for. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Mary.
Well, I truly appreciate you being willing to share your hard-earned knowledge with us, because to me, that's the best way to learn, is to find somebody that's already figured out the path to success and then model what they do as closely as you can. So you're really giving us a jump start by sharing what you've figured out.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be my pleasure to kind of share what I've picked up so far, and hopefully it'll be helpful to anyone out there watching. So.
Absolutely. So when you look at how you perform your work versus maybe peers and companies, what have you figured out that you think really differentiates the performance that you get?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I learned sort of very early on was that the criteria-based sales process is really, really important. And I guess as sort of management friendly as this sounds, I think following the sales process that's been established, that's been proven to work by others even before you, is one of the keys to my success, and just sort of buying into that very early on.
Okay.
And saying, this is the process I'm going to follow. These are the criteria I'm going to look for before I move anyone through the process, and stage by stage. I think that's been very instrumental in sort of helping me to perform well in the job.
Okay.
I think also something that was taught to me early on was, at the beginning, that's really where you're going to make the most headway with your prospects, and ultimately what's going to determine the sale. So spend a lot of time getting to know and really understanding your prospect's business, what their goals are, some of the plans that they have to get to those goals, figure out what the challenges are that are standing in the way of them actually executing on that plan, and ultimately, what the timing is going to be for doing all of that stuff. And so really having a good understanding of that and really diving deep, I think, allows you to ultimately speed up the sales process down the line and close deals faster.
Okay. Well, I assume, based on your connection with one of our previous summit experts, Dave Curlin, that you use some formulation of baseline selling. And so curious, could you give us an example of what you mean by criteria-based, maybe using the baseline selling model?
Sure. So, every opportunity that we move through our funnel, at HubSpot in particular, we have certain criteria that we're looking for every time we want to, we're thinking about advancing someone. And if we don't have what we need, right? So some of the things that we're looking for are really in-depth goals, specifically, financial based. We're also looking for sometimes personal goals around, or, business related goals that are attached to that ultimate maybe revenue goal.
Okay.
We're looking for a really good understanding of what their plan is. So really analyzing step by step and being able to repeat back what someone's plan is for getting to that goal, so we can understand where the holes might be that we can ultimately fix.
Okay.
And then we're also looking for challenges. And for each one of these different criteria, we have levels. So we'll sort of rate them like level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 being the highest level and generic and really not very powerful. Okay. And level 3 being like, very, very in-depth, very good understanding and very powerful knowledge of that particular criteria. So an example might be someone's goal is to grow their business. That's pretty soft, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to grow their business.
Look for the business that doesn't want to grow.
Right, exactly. But a level 3 goal might be someone wants to grow their business by 50%, okay, which equates to $5 million over the next year. Because if they don't, their investors are going to come knocking, and they're going to have to fold the business or shut down. Okay. So it's put up or shut up time, right? That's a lot more compelling reason for them to do business and to make a decision quickly than someone who's just kind of plowing along and maybe wants to grow by 5%, maybe, and that'd be nice, but they don't have to, right? So I think that's sort of how we define criteria, and then we also have levels of those criteria.
Okay, that makes sense. So when you look across to your peers, do you find that by and large people don't accept using a formalized sales process yet?
I think other salespeople that I talk to at different businesses, I think that's certainly the case.
Okay.
At HubSpot, if you don't, you're out the door pretty quick. It's something that we look for, and our management team puts a big emphasis on, is following that criteria-based sort of selling process. But I certainly think that there are people who deviate, who skip steps, and it inevitably comes back and bites them at the end.
Okay. So if you say that your HubSpot peers, it's more standard practice, what, if anything, do you credit with you still rising to the top there?
I think, asking really tough, timely questions is something that takes time to develop.
Okay.
And I luckily had the experience of, working really closely with Dave and some of the other sales experts that he has, hearing their phone calls, listening to what questions they asked and kind of being immersed in it very early on. And I think maybe that shortened my learning curve a little bit in terms of, understanding, when to ask the right type of questions.
Okay.
And how to leverage that in the sales process.
So if you didn't have the luxury of working with Dave Curlin, how would you go about developing that skill now, realizing how important it was?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much information out there and so much guidance that you can find, on, watching things like what we're doing right now, reading blog posts from the sales experts. Dave was obviously a great one that my personal favorite, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great resources out there, but at the end of the day, it's practice, it's at bats, it's falling on your face and not asking the right question at the right time and seeing what the result is.
Okay, that makes sense. So, Dan, how do you challenge yourself to keep improving?
So, I kind of talked about how we think that goal setting is really important in the sales process. I think it's also important, for your personal growth. So one of the things that I do is I have like a written goal sheet that I keep on my desk. And I have a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, and a 5-year plan. And whenever I'm kind of thinking, well, it'd be nice to just kind of coast for the rest of the day, right? And take Friday afternoon off, right? I got to look at that goal sheet, and that really helps keep me motivated and sort of see what I'm working towards.
Okay. So you always have your mission in front of you.
That's right.
Smart.
Right. I figure if I'm going to hold my prospects accountable to their goals, I need to hold myself too.
So without disclosing too much, can you share with us what's on your more distant plan that keeps you in the office on Friday afternoon?
Sure. Well, I've got a longtime girlfriend. And certainly, buying that ring is something that keeps me motivated.
Okay.
Down payment on a house, those kinds of things.
Okay. Perfect. Great idea. Right. So you obviously are a very upbeat person who I'm sure faces a lot of rejection like anyone in a sales role. How do you cultivate your own attitude for success?
I think it's just separating it's separating business from personal, really. I mean, I know that they're not necessarily rejecting me as a person. They don't know me. They don't know who I am. We never had a face-to-face conversation. Right. There's a lot of things that could be coming up. They could be just having a bad day. They could be, other stuff going on that I don't even know about. They might just be rejecting my product or my company. It's not me personally.
Okay.
So I just try to keep that in mind and separate the two. And I find that to be pretty effective in terms of rejection proofing you, so to speak.
Have you had to coach peers on that to kind of talk them off the ledge?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, sometimes somebody has like a sort of a frustrating day, and they're kind of complaining about I can't get a hold of anybody or nobody wants to talk to me today. I'm just like, well, who cares? At the end of the day, it's not, you're still going to go home, you're still going to have your dog there, your dog's still going to love you, all that stuff. So,
okay. So you're smart about really keeping the broader perspective.
Yeah, it's a big picture thing, it's just day-to-day stuff that you just can't let get under your skin.
Okay, that makes sense. So we are all inundated by email and phone calls and somebody stopping by your office and distracting you from your focus and that 1 to 5 year plan that you're working so hard toward. How do you figure out how to keep your focus so that you can accomplish those goals?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest challenges I think that I have. But one of the strategies is just kind of a strategy more than sort of any high level idealism that I have, but I just try to keep my schedule full. Like I
Okay.
try to block it out. So, I'm going from call to call. I don't give myself too much downtime to kind of, fool around and start talking to people and things like that. But that's probably the most effective strategy is just keeping myself busy, making sure I'm booking up my schedule.
Okay.
And, not just saying, oh, well, that open spot on my calendar, I'm going to prospect, but actually putting in prospecting in that time slot.
Okay.
So it just kind of keeps me focused and moving from one task to the next rather than, chatting,
Okay.
which
How do
I
you
do
go
like to
about
do.
planning
So,
your day or your week?
I try to block out time for prospecting or partner calls, as the case may be, in my particular sales funnel.
Hmm.
But, I block out time specifically for those activities that maybe aren't everyone's favorite, but you still need to do.
Hmm.
And then other than that, just kind of blocking out time on my calendar for opportunities, making sure I'm scheduling my calls at a good pace.
Hmm.
I never want to totally slam myself, so I have no time for prep prior to the call.
Hmm.
So I usually like to try to give myself at least 15 minutes in between, so
Okay.
I can prep or look at my notes or check out their website or whatever I need to do.
Okay. That's smart. So you just build that right into your call schedule.
Yep.
And I like that you block a limited amount of time so that you can't get lost on Google.
Right, right. That's exactly it. It's gotta be short and sweet, but enough time so that you can feel comfortable and confident going into the
Yeah,
call.
get the job done and you don't need to read all their blog articles.
Exactly.
Perfect, perfect. Have you found yourself in the position at your previous companies or now in a mentorship role where because of your success, you're really asked to help others raise their
Yeah,
game?
yeah. I have. Specifically, recently we had a new member on our team. He's been hired, and they asked me to sort of step in and be his lifeline on calls and help him sort of just get up to speed with the whole culture of HubSpot and everything that we're doing from a sales perspective.
Okay.
So it's something I haven't done a whole ton of, but I am starting to do more and more of it now.
Okay. So what's your secret to helping somebody kind of get on the fast track to top performance?
Yeah, I think it's my tendency is to want to jump in and help with the call, but I think what's probably more beneficial for them in the long run is to fall on their face a couple times
Okay.
and just do it, and then circle back afterwards, and I can kind of give them some perspective.
Okay.
We usually try to keep a line of communication open during the call too, whether it's like an internal messaging system or just using the GoToMeeting private chat functionality.
Okay.
So we'll use that too to kind of communicate during the call. So if I feel like it's going really off track, I'll just sort of type him some notes to try and guide the conversation back to where it needs to be.
Okay. So that's really smart. It's really reality-based coaching that you can reflect after the fact on what was working, how they get better.
Right. Right.
So
And
really
I found that
precise
to be a really,
practice, as some call
yeah,
it.
exactly. I found it to be a really effective tool. And also a lot of my role now is helping to coach some of our partners that are
Okay.
also reselling our product. So I join sales calls with them. So that's another sort of, I guess you could call it mentorship type of situation
Absolutely.
where I'm helping those partners of ours sell the software more effectively. So doing a lot of coaching for them as well. So then we try to focus on putting a process in place for them because a lot of times they don't have one.
Okay.
And of course, that's a whole different ballgame because that's not just an individual sales rep, but a lot of times a whole company and maybe a few sales reps.
Okay.
So
So having a process, sticking to that process, keeping your schedule full based on that process, knowing what you're working for, all sounds like really what's pulled together to keep you focused and achieving top performance.
definitely.
Okay. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I know you've helped so many of our viewers really figure out how to stick to their own plan so that they can achieve their goals personally as well as for their company goals. Greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in and investing in your own success. The Sales Mastery Summit is here to help you never stop learning from the best. Take care.